great city has two faces. One is the face shown to the world. Bright lights stretching across endless streets. Towering palm trees swaying beneath warm California skies. Movie theaters glowing along crowded boulevards. Luxury hotels welcoming visitors from every corner of America. Beautiful homes resting beneath green hills. The promise of sunshine, opportunity, and new beginnings. This was the Los Angeles that appeared on postcards, the city that millions dreamed about. The city where ordinary people believed extraordinary lives could begin. But every city also carries another face, a quieter one. A face hidden behind closed apartment doors. Empty alleyways. Late-night diners. Rain-soaked sidewalks. And streets that become strangely silent long after midnight. It is in those forgotten places that history often leaves its deepest marks. The Los Angeles of 1947 was no exception. Beneath its glamorous surface lived another city. A city filled with ambition, loneliness, hope, disappointment, and countless stories that never reached the silver screen. Among those stories was one that would outlive every newspaper headline of its era. A mystery so enduring that more than 75 years later, people still search for answers. A mystery that began not with a crime, but with a young woman searching for a better future. Her name was Elizabeth Short, though history would remember her by another name, a name she never chose. A name that newspapers would print in enormous black letters, the Black Dahlia. Before the headlines, before the speculation, before the myths, there was simply a young woman with dreams. The Second World War had ended only 2 years earlier. America was changing rapidly. Soldiers returned home carrying memories they rarely spoke about. Factories that had produced aircraft and tanks shifted back toward civilian life. Families reunited after years of separation. The nation looked toward the future with cautious optimism. Few places reflected that optimism more strongly than Southern California. Los Angeles seemed unstoppable. Its population expanded almost daily. Highways stretched farther into the suburbs. New neighborhoods appeared where farmland had once stood. Hollywood continued producing films that reached audiences around the world. Movie stars became symbols of success. Their faces smiled from magazine covers displayed in grocery stores, train stations, and drugstores. Too many young people. Los Angeles represented possibility itself. If success could happen anywhere, surely it could happen there. Every week, buses arrived carrying hopeful newcomers. Some dreamed of becoming actors. Others imagined careers in music. Some wanted to write. Others hoped simply to escape difficult lives elsewhere. Many carried little more than a suitcase and determination. Some succeeded, most did not. But hope has always been stronger than statistics. People continued arriving, believing their story would be different. Hollywood encouraged that belief. The film industry had mastered the art of creating dreams. Movie posters promised romance. Adventure. Fame. Luxury. Behind every glamorous premiere stood thousands of ordinary people hoping for a single opportunity. Small acting roles, modeling work, studio employment. Anything that might open the next door. The competition was relentless, yet the dream remained irresistible. Walking through Hollywood in the late 1940s must have felt almost magical. Neon signs reflected upon polished automobiles, music drifted from restaurants, dance halls filled with laughter. The famous theaters along Hollywood Boulevard welcomed crowds dressed in elegant evening clothes. Outside, photographers waited patiently for celebrities. Inside, audiences escaped into stories far removed from everyday life. For a few hours, everything seemed possible. Yet only a few streets away, reality looked very different. Small boarding houses filled with aspiring performers. Cheap apartments offered temporary shelter. Waitresses worked long hours while attending auditions during the day. Young men searched for studio jobs that never appeared. Dreams often proved expensive. Rent still had to be paid. Meals still had to be purchased. Hope alone could not cover either. The city possessed an invisible rhythm. Morning belonged to workers. Afternoon belonged to dreamers. Night belonged to everyone else. Taxi drivers, police officers. Night shift employees. Musicians. Bartenders. Travelers arriving on late trains. And countless individuals whose stories would never appear in newspapers. Los Angeles never truly slept. It simply changed personalities after sunset. Winter in Southern California differs greatly from winter in much of America. Snow rarely falls, palm trees remain green. The air carries a cool softness rather than bitter cold. Even January evenings often invite long walks beneath clear skies. That gentle climate encouraged life outdoors. Restaurants served customers late into the evening. Couples wandered along sidewalks. Streetcars continued carrying passengers across the city. The pleasant weather masked many hardships. Loneliness can exist beneath warm sunshine just as easily as beneath falling snow. Crime existed, of course. Like every growing city, Los Angeles faced its share of robberies, fraud, organized crime, and violence. Police departments worked tirelessly to keep pace with rapid expansion. New neighborhoods created new challenges. Old methods sometimes struggled to solve modern problems. Still, most residents believed tomorrow would resemble yesterday. Ordinary. Predictable. Safe. Few imagined that a single case would soon capture international attention. Journalism was entering a new era as well. Competition among newspapers had become fierce. Morning editions raced evening editions. Headlines grew larger. Photographs became more dramatic. Editors understood that emotion sold newspapers. Stories involving mystery attracted readers unlike any other subject. The public wanted answers. The press promised answers, even when none existed. Radio also transformed the way people experienced news. Families gathered around large wooden receivers each evening. Voices filled living rooms with reports from across the nation. People no longer waited until morning papers arrived. Important events reached homes almost immediately. A sensational crime could become national conversation overnight. The Black Dahlia case would become exactly that. Not merely a local investigation, but a national obsession. Yet none of this had happened, not yet. The city continued moving through ordinary days. Streetcars followed familiar routes. Shopkeepers opened their businesses each morning. Children walked to school. Actors memorized auditions. Restaurants prepared breakfast. Taxi drivers began another shift. The future remained unwritten. Somewhere within this enormous city lived thousands of people who would eventually become connected, however briefly, to one extraordinary mystery. Police detectives who had not yet received the most famous assignment of their careers. Journalists unaware that they would soon write hundreds of articles on a single case. photographers who would capture images forever preserved in history, witnesses who did not yet know they possessed important memories, and one young woman who still believed tomorrow might finally bring the opportunity she had been seeking. Elizabeth Short had traveled across America searching for that opportunity. Like countless others, she believed California might offer the fresh start she needed. Friends later described her as polite, soft, spoken, thoughtful. She enjoyed movies, fashion, conversation. She hoped to build a life that looked brighter than the one she had left behind. Those who met her often remembered her dark hair, her careful appearance, her quiet determination. She was not famous, not wealthy, not powerful. She was simply another young woman trying to find her place in a rapidly changing world. History has a curious habit. It often transforms ordinary people into symbols. Their real lives become hidden beneath decades of speculation. Rumors replace memories. Legends replace facts. The Black Dahlia case became one of history's clearest examples of this transformation. Over the decades, books, films, articles, and documentaries created countless versions of the story. Some remained faithful to historical evidence. Others blurred the line between documented fact and imagination. As the years passed, Elizabeth Short herself sometimes disappeared beneath the mythology surrounding her case. But before she became a mystery, she was a person, a daughter, a friend, a traveler, someone who laughed, someone who hoped, someone who believed better days might still lie ahead. As night slowly settled over Los Angeles, the city glowed beneath thousands of lights. Cars moved steadily along Wilshire Boulevard. Music floated through hotel ballrooms. Movie theaters welcomed another evening audience. Palm trees swayed gently in the cool Pacific breeze. Everything appeared peaceful. Everything appeared ordinary. Yet history often begins on evenings that seem entirely unremarkable. No alarms sounded. No headlines had yet been written. No detective knew the investigation that awaited. No journalist imagined the story that would define an era. Only time knew what lay ahead. And time, as always, remained silent.